and within. And I also work with kids, have always worked with kids my entire life. So maybe incorporating more family and like being older, getting older. Because I'm actually 40. God, I always forget, 47. I'm not 48 yet. I'm 47.
You look fantastic.
Harder, it gets harder and harder every year. And, having kids and this, pandemic we're in. But you know what? I am on a mission to just let's do this together and kind of just be a spokesperson for that.
I love it. That's awesome. It's like what I want to do with people who are coming into their spiritual awakening and let them know they have their power in their own hands to create their world. You're doing that for people with their health and wellness, and their diets and their eating habits and all that. It's like, yes, we need to come at people in these ways, to help them. And I don't mean come at them in a bad way, but, come at them and say, look, you have options, you have healthy options, you have good options, and everything that you want and you need is within your own power to do and create for yourself and your families. That's awesome.
And everybody knows, or they know of, but they don't know how to do it. So I want to show them how to do it.
Yes. And I love how you're like, it can be easy and fun.
Yes, and fun, and make it fun and make a community around it. And that's kind of where I'm really excited for this, is because I feel like I've been preaching to people who just aren't ready, like I've never stopped loving the health aspect of incorporating that in my own lifestyle. And I've always I never had a lot of friends. I've had a couple of friends, and people kind of look down at you. They're like, why can't you eat that? Or why are you doing that? Or so I had that with the health club industry that I work at. There's a lot of healthy individuals, but that's a little, it's one step. And then they don't continue they don't embrace all of it.
They need accountability.
I want to embrace the whole package, because I really think that there's so much that we as humans can do to make this a better world. And one, we need to start with ourselves, and we don't take that time. Americans don't take the time to do that.
Because we're too busy going, and expecting results and putting our energy into things that produce, instead of just, I need to just be, let beingness be in charge of the doing.
And it's hard. Like it is hard, and it takes practice. I'm still practicing.
Yeah, but we all are. And that's the good thing about, the community that you'll work with is, you'll be like, hey, like how we all are, I'm working on this too, because Pallas and I were kind of chatting about this for a second the other day. We teach what we most need to learn. A lot of the times they say that. And so it's like in our communities, we'll be working with the people, in our communities to achieve their goals. And at the same time, we're working on it ourselves and saying, look, I'm here with you. I'm your mentor, but I'm working with you. So you're not alone. And I'm holding you accountable, but in a way, you guys are holding me accountable. And we all do this together because it takes a village.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I've put out there to subconsciously, I always have kind of not given myself credit. I'm like, well, I'm not, this personal trainer with all these certifications and professional background. But me putting myself out there has given me the accountability, and I know I have to show up for them, so it's making me better. And that alone, and that's where the idea of coaching comes into play, because if you're gonna step up to the plate, you're being more forced to perform, learn, and share. So
exactly. Sorry, Pallas, we're making it like the Dawn and Jennifer show.
Oh, you're fine. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. It's for you people to connect, and I don't have an agenda. It's like, I'm here if you guys have questions, but otherwise it's you guys get to meet each other and talk, and this is perfect.
And I love your energy, Jennifer. Like, your energy is what is going to draw people to you. You know, it's not, people don't give a crap about our credibility. I mean, they don't give a crap about our credentials. You know, that's like something that looks pretty on paper, but what they care about, you know, is the results that we can give them and our uniqueness that we bring to the table. Because you can have 10,000, you know, like life coaches or, you know, health and wellness coaches, but only you can give them your brand of who you are, and you will attract the people who are meant for you. Just like with me, there are people, you know, who might do some of the stuff I do, but my unique energy brings those people to me, and they're meant, you know, we're meant to work together. And I used to be like that too. I used to be like, oh, I need more credentials. I need to go to hypnotherapy school, and I need to get certified in this and certified in that, and certifications all over the place. And finally, the universe is like, F certifications. Stop wasting your time trying to make yourself feel like you're something, and go out and actually be something, because that's what people need. They don't need letters on a paper that behind your name. That's nice, but they need you to just do the thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
step up. Yay, that's awesome. I love it.
I know everything that I've done, like my certifications and whatnot, it's been because it's what I've needed to actively learn about to help myself get better, to help myself heal in my journey. So it's not, for me, it's not been like, okay, I'm going to go to college and I want to become an accountant and I'm going to do this and have this, you know, do these electives or whatever. Every single thing I've done to have like my resume, I guess, my website, it's just it's been accumulated so that I've been able to show up with my practitioners who are helping me also be able to, I'll have more language around myself. And then also I'm like, wow, well, if I can learn this and I can pay it forward to other people at some point, then that would be really cool too. But it's been the exploration of me, because when I had left my journey of being sick to the doctors, I didn't get anywhere, right? And so it wasn't until for me personally, this isn't how it is for everybody by any means, but it wasn't until I actively dove into what the heck is going on with me. How can I start teasing these things apart so that I even like know where to start? And so that's why I have, like with IIN, with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, Jennifer, I started that in the middle of being so freaking sick that I couldn't even have, like, energetically, even I couldn't even have a Zoom meeting with somebody else without getting into panic, because I had like no energetic boundaries, and I had no, like, I had so much social anxiety at that point that was triggered from my Lyme. And I could barely read either. I had so much brain fog. I had just started trying to read the news because it's like watching a train wreck. You're just going to keep reading it. But it was like, okay, this is keeping my attention long enough so that I can see if I can actually make it through the article to read it. And and so when I started at IIN, I had so much brain fog. It took me about 3 months to decide to finally do it, but I sat back and I don't know how I don't know how they're doing it now, but I listened to their different webinars, checked in with Joshua Rosenthal on his little mini classes and things that he did, and just sat back and tried to see what is this experience like for me? And I more than anything, I liked the tone of voice that these people had and the things that they were teaching. And occasionally I would pick up a little something, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I had saved up several $1,000s from some other thing that I had done previously. It was like all the money I'd ever made from the time I'd, become pregnant and left my job. I think I had like $5,000 in the bank or something like that. So I put all that money towards IIN, and it was with the original goal of feeling like, can I reconnect to my humanity at all? Like, does my brain work? Can I make my brain work? And I wasn't even aware enough or able to read enough to dial into like what the whole package was about. It wasn't for me about becoming a health coach. It was literally about trying to reconnect to my brain on some level and prove to myself that like this wasn't like the end of my life. But then with IIN, the cool thing about it was that, and it was the universe giving this opportunity to me, is that when you start out with it, you meet yourself where you're at. Like, people who come in with lots of education and whatever can get a ton out of the IIN program. But me, I was coming in from a super compromised place, and I met myself where I was at. And I didn't even realize that till I was like 4 months into it. And it takes you through your own transformation over the course of a year. I think they have like a 6-month program now or something, but over the course of a year. And it was because of that program that I developed a language for myself that I was able to start bringing into my sessions with my healers. And I started being aware of other things out there that I had never been aware of, like food, impact, life's like simple stuff, food and lifestyle that we kind of take for granted, being tuned into our bodies on some frequency. Like I wasn't at all. And so that year brought me through the most deepest depression, confusion about being sick, zero hope that I was ever going to get better. And coming out the other end, I wasn't better. I wasn't healed, but I was light years ahead of where I'd been when it all started. And that was for me the foothold for moving forward in my own healing journey. And because of that, then I was able to pick up on these other things in life. Like my naturopathic doctor showed up in my life. I didn't know anything about that prior to that. And then from her, I ended up becoming aware of a friend of mine who does craniosacral therapy, which I'd never heard of, which is all this work with the nervous system. And it was originally developed for PTSD and veterans. And with Lyme, it had attacked my nervous system and all this stuff was jacked, right? And so I'm working with my naturopath, and then I'm working with this craniosacral therapist and somatic therapy. And then from her, it opened up to Chinese medicine and quantum medicine and body talk, and then this deeper energy work to where I am at now. But it all started accidentally. I mean, it was with intention, but not the intention that I thought it was, right? Mm-hmm. So that is the core reason that it looks like I know a bunch of cool stuff. Because I do know a bunch of cool stuff, but I only know it because I was trying to save my own life in the process.
Yeah, but that's really interesting. You've done, sounds like, I've heard bits and pieces of your story now, and it's incredible. I love that you are doing so well today. But it's continual work, right? Like you still have to practice it every day. Do you mind me asking, like for Lyme's disease, is it always going to live in you?
Because of the work I've done, no.
Oh, okay.
Because of the work I've done, no. Lyme is a super complicated thing in that in the world of allopathic traditional medicine, it's probably one of the most debated diseases out there. And like Avril Lavigne, the singer, who she is, she had gotten Lyme several years ago. And for her as a star, it took her over 30 different doctors until somebody finally listened to her. Wow. That there was something wrong, right? And that's not uncommon. I had somebody that I was working with, excuse me, that had been through over 100 doctors, like with the major universities all around the country, out of the country, still no answers, until we connected about things. It's super messed up. But then also when it does get identified, the insurance companies won't pay for it.
Why?
Because it's the equivalent of the political scene. It's crazy, and so it's something that it's super complicated in the way that the disease burrows into the body. Yeah. That chronic Lyme is something that it never actually goes away. Now there are ILADS doctors where I ended up going to the Amen Clinic in Orange County, California. ILADS is they're tick-borne disease certified doctor. They know all about it from the integrative health side of things. And so I didn't even know I had Lyme at this time, but we saw my husband actually saw a video with an interview of Dr. Daniel Amen, who founded the Amen clinics, and the whole thing was about brain health and brought up Lyme disease. And 2 weeks later, I was on a plane with a friend of mine flying to California to spend 4 days of getting brain scans, SPECT scans. I had personality tests, psychological, psychiatric, cognitive tests. I had $15,000 worth of blood tests done. I failed everything. Like all the tests I had done, I failed everything. At the time, I'd been diagnosed with bipolar, ADHD, a personality disorder, generalized anxiety, panic
Wow.
disorder. And then the brain scans came back. I had brain damage. Like I have the scans. I can show you sometimes, like all these dark holes on the brain. And so that was when I was like, whoa, okay, there's a reason that I'm classified mentally ill at this point. And then with the blood test, one of the things that the Amen Clinic always does is they always check for Lyme disease, because a huge catalyst for mental illness in this country, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, it's actually the spirochetes from Lyme, and it's not mental illness. And people aren't checked by
Oh,
psychologists and psychiatrists for Lyme. And so they're treated as being mentally ill, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse over time. And so because they're a brain science clinic, like what are all the potential attributes that can be, leading towards this issue? And that's where Lyme came up for me. Lyme, a co-infection of Ehrlichia, active mono or Epstein-Barr, which is a whole other like evil thing, which people don't really take mono and chickenpox and those things like super seriously, but they are like this underlying disease for pretty much every disease out there. And so that was how I found out about it. But then my doctor, so my integrative doctor in California had said, if you want to get a doctor in Colorado, you can do that in Denver. I can treat you remotely. And he gave me a couple doctors, the only two that were here, one in Denver and one in Boulder. And both of them were well over a year to get in to see them, a year.
Wow.
Which is how it is commonly. And so for me to have been diagnosed and landed with a ILAD certified doctor, that was also kind of divine intervention, because otherwise I would have been off in the universe, just getting sicker and sicker, waiting. And then there's so much behind it. And like with Lyme, when it gets embedded in the body, which was your original question, it's really, really tough to kill because it hides in your joints. If you can't move much, it's always going to be embedded in your joints. And so like this one test that I had to take to see, a genetic test actually, to see if there was anything left in my body, I had to, and I was having so much panic and anxiety, and just like moving my body was not what I wanted to do, but I had to go and walk 3 miles so that I could like dislocate whatever was in my body. And then I had to go do these tests and send it into this lab in Boulder that came back, yeah, you still have this, you still have the genetic traces of these things in your body. And so at that point, these things have what's called a biofilm on them. And that's like, like chia seeds, when they're dry, and then you put them in water, chia seeds gets goopy on them. So that's like biofilm, right? And so you can't just take medication to kill these things in your body unless you get through the biofilm first. And so the only biofilm, the only drug for me at that time that would get through that kind of biofilm was about $3,000 a month. I was supposed to have 3 months of it. That was with insurance. And like, are you freaking kidding me? And so my doctor ended up connecting me with a lab in India, like a legitimate pharmaceutical lab in India, where I ordered this drug for $11 a month from India. It took me 30 days to get it. And I got this drug, which then did the biofilm. I was able to take the other medication, try to kill the stuff. But like, this is like just a snapshot of what people with Lyme have to deal with here in the country. The drugs are so expensive that the pharmaceutical industry would rather people die than actually like get through it, because it's not affordable and the resources aren't there and the insurance companies won't pay for it and doctors aren't educated on it. And it's like, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a never Trumper. Like that's the equivalent of what it is about Lyme disease. It's insane. And so it was a super, super, super difficult journey to show up into that space with all of this lack of information and lack of support out there to like begin with. So yeah, it was nuts.
Like, when did this begin? Like, how long has it been now?
Lyme. So through my energy medicine, it's come up that it originally started when I was about 26, when I was working at Microsoft. And when I was at Microsoft, so I am super sensitive to EMF. Like I have all sorts of things around my desk, stones and different things that actually filter EMF, like I've not even like woo woo, like I have an EMF detector that you can check outlets and things to see like where the highest EMF is coming out. And I'll get these different things that I have, and I'll test it with my EMF detector to see, is this actually filtering what's here? And so I have these stones and crystals and things that are literally filtering different frequencies around the electronics, because I'm super sensitive to EMF. I mean, everybody is, but anyway, when I was at Microsoft, it was electronics everywhere. It's just one big server lab, you know, of computers everywhere with cables in the ceilings and whatever. And apparently it was at that point in time that it broke down my body in such a way that that co-infection called Ehrlichia embedded in my endocrine system, and it incubated there until Ehrlichia is evil stuff too. It incubated in my endocrine system until Phoenix was born, 13 and a half years ago.
Wow.
When I had him, different traumas can like release things out of the body, the way without getting like too out there, like the way the immune system works. It's not in organs, it's in the gut. The immune system isn't in the liver, it's not in the kidneys, it's not like those kind of things. And so when I had Phoenix, that trauma to my body like released the stuff into my body. It triggered the Lyme, it triggered the Ehrlichia, all these things, but I didn't know about it. But like within an hour of him being born, I fell into panic and anxiety and never came out of that. It only got worse over time. And then when Serafina was born 21 months later, that completely tripped up my endocrine system, my hormones. Like it totally broke, and I stopped being able to sleep. And so like not like a crappy sleep, like not sleep. Like I didn't have REM dreams for over 10 years. I couldn't sleep. Sleeping pills didn't work, and all this other stuff went on in the journey. And so lots of levels and layers to get through all of it. There's spiritual aspects that I've learned about, the physical aspects that I've learned about. The lack of sleep will make anybody crazy. Hormones completely dysregulated will,
Totally.
like it's been insane. And so that's why, like with my health coaching with IAN, like when I originally went, that was kind of the experience. And then from there, I ended up taking a hormone balancing certification that I can work with doctors now for holistic hormone balancing. And I also took a certification on gut health to learn all about that, because one of the side effects with Lyme, it works just like an autoimmune disease, which it just completely destroys your gut. There was nothing I could eat either, and I didn't know how to navigate that. So I took both of these other certifications to try to like figure out how can I not kill myself, like literally, because I was so miserable with all of it. And yeah, barfed a lot of information at you. It's a lot, but that's why the only reason I do what I do now, and I love what I do now. I love my knowledge. It's in the spiritual communities, many of us have to go through what we call the dark night of the soul, when it's like we're just not showing up in life the way that we need to, and the way that we're destined to. What is our purpose to serve in life? And sometimes it requires going through hell in order to get there, so that you come out the other side and you like shed all the things all the belief systems, all the stuff that was holding you back from realizing your potential and your purpose to serve in the world. And mine was really, really rough. Like we could go really deep about all those kind of things. That's like super high level touch on that kind of thing. But without it, if I hadn't gone through all of this, I would still be asleep in my life, like literally asleep, like unaware, not being consciously aware of myself, not being consciously aware of the world, not being tuned in to what the world actually is, or the potential of things. I mean, it's such a linear way of even talking about it, right? But
crazy when you like start thinking about it. It's just like it's insane what the world, then the universe, and just it itself has the power to do within us humans. Like, I don't know, like if you really want to get deep, I don't know, I totally feel the energy of it. I'm like thankful I don't have that like experience, but then again, like you said, you need these, like that experience is going to help somebody else that you've had. And
Exactly.
unfortunately, and that's really sad that you say that the Lyme's disease industry is not even really being considered.
No, it's the insurance company will lose billions of dollars paying out for it because it's such a big thing. Like it's huge, 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 huge out in the world.
I know this is random, but did Justin Bieber have Lyme disease? Did he say he did too?
He does. Yeah.
He has it.
Yeah. If you catch it early, then you have much more potential of like not having it fully integrate with the entire you kind of thing. But Lyme is something that if it's left unattended, it's called the Great Mimicker. And what that means is that it mimics the body, Lyme itself, the body mimics MS, ALS, people with anxiety, people with Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy, if you know somebody with Bell's palsy, almost 100% of the time, if they have the proper test done, they actually have Lyme disease because it's virally induced. Like it can make your heart seal to the heart wall. Wow. Rheumatoid arthritis typically goes back to, to Lyme, and the co-infections, dementia, Alzheimer's with autopsies. There's Lyme cysts in the brain. So, okay. So this will, Lyme itself, Lyme itself is a biological weapon. And this is the scariest part of it. And so if you guys wanted to do some research at all, it goes back to World War II. And between World War I and World War II, Germany, the US, I think Russia also, they were in a race to develop like the next weapon against one another. And what they were designing was biological warfare. And that's not like a powder that you drop on people. They were working with insects, with cockroaches, with ticks, with things that move, things that can be dropped, things that can migrate, things that can procreate. And and you can look up all of this research online. This isn't like one of those conspiracy theories, as much as I would love for this to be like not a real thing. And so they were working with insects on creating these insects as weapons. And so with the end goal being, these insects could be dropped on a population's herds of cattle, for example, the food supplies, right? The living food supplies. And then these things bite the whatever, it kills the animals, and you take out a population because they no longer have a food supply, right? And so at one point in time, like it's been, the records are tracked back. I think it was Russia. I think it was Russia took, I think it was ticks. It was ticks, and dropped them on the rice paddies in China. And so these are things that have been used to try to, the intent was to take out the food supplies of people. But the thing with it is that like here in the States, back between around World War II, the Nazis were very, very deeply involved in this, amongst many other things, this kind of weaponry. And when when World War II ended, the US actually acquired tons of Nazi technology for weaponry, for biological warfare, all sorts of stuff. And the US acquired this Nazi technology and brought it here. And there was a there was a group of scientists in the US who were working on an island off of Connecticut. And this is where the conspiracy theories happen. When you start looking up this island, it's I can't remember the name of it at this second. It will come back to me. But this is where they were doing a lot of the research about the biological warfare. And the US brought over, it was at least 2 Nazi scientists. One of their last names was like, there's like Borrelia is one of the strains of Lyme. Then there's Bergdorfi. I think that's how you say it. But one of the Nazi scientists that came over, his last name was that, or an iteration of that. And so these German scientists came over, started working with the Americans. And then, so what they say about where Lyme started in the US, so we hear people say limes, it's actually Lyme, Lyme, but that comes from Lyme, Connecticut. There's a town called Lyme, Connecticut. And so what the story is about how it got to land is that some of these insects, they got released on the shores, and it started in Connecticut, and then it spread throughout the country. And so it's like where Lyme was originally considered something that was just regional. It's only been in the last couple of years that it's being recognized that it's also transmitted in mosquitoes. It can be transmitted in anything that flies. And Lyme is no longer regional. And so for me, when I got diagnosed about a week into it, I got some random call here in Colorado, and I don't remember the organization. Didn't want to know my name. They had a number for me. They wanted to know my symptoms, wanted to know where I thought I got Lyme, just basic like statistical stuff. Okay, thanks, click. Like, who the hell did I just talk to? Like, it freaked me out. It was really, really, they track every person. Yeah, they track it all. And so the scariest thing about Lyme is that when it gets into the body, the way that it actually hurts you is that it emulates all these things. But what it's designed to do is it goes down to the cellular level, goes down to the mitochondria. And in the mitochondria produces something called redox molecules, which ASEA is a product that I have now that is stabilized redox molecules. But what the redox molecules are, they are responsible for all of cellular signaling in the body. They're basically the cell tower in the body. Without the redox molecules, the body shuts down, disease patterns start showing up because the body doesn't remember how to communicate. And so Lyme goes straight down to the cellular level, down to the mitochondria, and it's trying to take out the mitochondria so that our cells can no longer produce what we need to stay alive. So redox molecules are like the elixir of life. Without redox, there is no life on Earth. Like, it's huge. And so Lyme is a super, super scary thing. And there's big reasons why you can't heal it, because it's, even once it's gone, it's already dysregulated the cellular functioning in the body.
Wow.
You're blowing my mind.
I know.
My ex-father-in-law, I was with for 15 years in their family. I'm from Connecticut. He was the first case of Lyme disease in Connecticut. Like, really? The first recorded case, and he had it for years before they ever caught it. And he has brain damage. It ate holes in his brain, like the things that you're talking about. And he has all these health issues. He's very unhealthy: diabetes, congestive heart failure, high blood pressure. He gets, where he's lost toes and fingers because they just rot away. I forget what that's called, but all these overlying other issues that doctors never even figured out, and they never even knew what was wrong with him for decades. And he was in the Vietnam War, and I'm sitting here as you're talking, I'm like, I wonder if he got it there. And then you're like off the coast of Connecticut and Lyme. I'm like, oh my God, I've been to Old Lyme. It's beautiful, by the way, on the shore. Oh my gosh. But he lives in Connecticut, so I wonder if that's how he contracted it decades ago. and they didn't know anything about it. So he did not get diagnosed for years. And the damage had already been done and they couldn't do anything about it.
They don't, yeah, there's interventions. Lyme with the medical community becomes a symptom chasing disease.
Mm-hmm.
And they ultimately don't know what they're chasing. Like people show up with all these autoimmune diseases, all these crazy things that are going wrong, all these blood issues, all these things, right? But being in the Vietnam War too, I mean,
Agent Orange and blah, blah, blah.
yeah, I mean, he's been exposed to so many things. And like the people in the military, they're given all of these vaccines. But then when they're done being on tour, then they're given these anti-vaccines to like remediate the damage of all the vaccines that they were given and to deal with the toxins and the poisons that they've seen. But also with Lyme, it's not just in the US. Like in Germany, my sister lives in Munich. She's half German. My half sister, what did she tell me? In Germany, it's like 1 in 3 ticks have Lyme.
Oh,
Holy crap.
oh, that's creepy.
So it's an international thing.
But ticks don't fly, do they?
No, they drop on you.
So it doesn't have to be something that flies.
No, it started with ticks, but it's known to be in mosquitoes.
In mosquitoes.
With the tick, you guys are going to be always like, I'm never going to go outside again. With the tick, it's said to take about 30 hours. Like a tick needs to be attached to you for like 30 hours to totally transmit it. So it's not like it just goes pink and then you have Lyme. There has to be like a transmission period. So when it comes to mosquitoes, I don't know because they're a different creature.
Do you know if you got it from a tick or a mosquito or?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up back east in Oklahoma. I grew up back east in Pennsylvania and upstate New York. Mm-hmm. And in upstate New York, when we lived in the mountains, there's so many ticks, so many mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't know when it happened. I mean, there's tick diseases like the Lone Star tick out of Texas, and there's stuff everywhere. It's stuff everywhere.
So with your takeaway with like all of the extended body work you've done, would you say more of the holistic and natural and like ways of that you've been healing yourself have been what's been getting you better, or could you not have done it without the medicines that were given to you as well?
That's a tough question. What I know now, having the right type of practitioners and having a ridiculous amount of money to throw at it, you can get through it. If you have the right type of practitioner, because like Body Talk, clinical integrative energy medicine, which is a certification I'm working on, but something I went really deep with my practitioner. One of the big diseases that Body Talk can balance the body back from is Lyme. But I wouldn't say don't take the drugs, don't do the stuff, because it's a race against time.
Yeah.
It really is. And
well, drugs attack the actual thing that needs help right away, right? And you need that. You probably need that, and you need the other stuff. It's probably a combination in that.
You get into interventions. It's like, here's an intervention for an intervention for an intervention,
mm-hmm.
trying to like save your life.
There's too much going on that you can't. Yeah. It's like the whole thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then,
wow, I have a little bit of like anxiety just listening to your story.
Oh no.
No, like just like I can't even imagine like having the unknown and like what's wrong with me.
It's not something that I would ever want anybody to ever have to experience, and many people do, unfortunately. And so for me, where I show up in life now, is I just want to pay it forward, and I want to be able to be that intervention for others. However, on the flip side of that for me, whenever I put my story out there about my Lyme, like publicly, I get so many people reaching out to me. It gets overwhelming. There's so many people reach out to me about this cousin, me, my dad, whatever, people that are dying, people that are like, probably have 6 months to live. And I'm like, I don't have the capacity, the emotional capacity to do this, you know? And so it's a double-edged sword for me in how I've been having to learn boundaries, emotional boundaries, energetic boundaries, because it's people are suffering, and then they see that I can get better and I have some skills and abilities to help them get through it. And it's more than I can take. It's like turning on a fire hose. And so I struggle with really putting my full story out there, because I don't have the trauma training to navigate this kind of stuff with people. I mean, I can navigate really deep stuff, really complicated things, but it's the volume, volume of people that come at once. And I have, like, it's tough. Like, yeah, it's been really hard. And so with my practice, I've also been hesitant to really get out there with it, because that's the deluge that comes to me, and I'm not emotionally equipped to work with more than like one person at a time every few months with that level of complexity. Because if they're not, I can't guarantee any outcomes at all. Like, I can't promise anything. I can't say I can save your life. I can say I can help you. I have the potential to help you feel better, but I can't guarantee anything, right? And people are desperate. And like some people that I've worked with early on, like, it starts out in what seems to me in a reasonable place, a reasonable dialogue, reasonable interactions, and then it's texts 24 hours a day. It's, can I just talk to you today? Can we just please right now? I'm struggling. I don't know if I'm going to make it through the night, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, I can't do
That's crazy.
that kind of stuff. So I've been having to really work hard at reframing, like, who are the people? This comes to ethics, right? And it comes to my scope of practice. Like, who is my demographic and how can I work with them, right? Like, where do I have to draw the line? And I have to draw the line at like super complex chronic illness that has that deep level of trauma. I need to have somebody else do that work. I have the skills and abilities, but I don't have my stuff in place to do it. It's like, just because I can doesn't mean I should. So I know I shouldn't.
Right.
So maybe someday in the future, with more training, more exposure, more mentoring, more whatever, but I can go deep, but that level of things, I don't have the boundaries put in place without it also triggering my trauma. Like, I still have a bunch that I'm working through with me.
I would imagine. Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
It's crazy.
It's interesting stuff, but coming out the other end, like, I feel great now. I mean, overall, there's little lingering things that still working through, little anxiety triggers that I'm trying to, like, where's the anchor for that anxiety thing that's coming up, and how do I, like, navigate that and work through that? But again, without going through all of this, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, and I wouldn't be meeting people like Dawn, and you and I wouldn't be having this conversation, and we wouldn't be building the CLN and seeing this bigger picture of healing in the world, right? Of like, here's all the disparities. Here's like just traditional medical system, not even in any of the woo-woo stuff. Here's the traditional medical system and the stuff that people are struggling with every day, and not having the language around it, not having the resources, not even knowing that there are other options, other people, other ways to approach things that could drastically and dramatically change their lives. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And just on that level, having that awareness, that's huge to me, right? Because that's a conversation without going down the rabbit holes of this esoteric stuff with people, right? Where they're like, whoa, I don't, that's crazy shit. Like,
you could scare some people away for sure.
Right, exactly. It's being able to go into, like, I like to say, the muggle world. Like, this is Hogwarts, and here's the muggle world, and we stay in muggle world, and we have conversations in muggle world, and we start creating bridges for other potentials of like how things can happen. And then eventually there's bridges that are created to start looking more into the Hogwarts side of things, right? But it's like, it's a journey that people have to take with themselves to kind of take that step, one step at a time. And so had I not gone through all of this, I wouldn't have any clue. I would be stuck in the world of insurance is the only way that I'm going to get better. And if insurance can't do it, ain't nothing going to happen. Right. So health and wellness to me is like, it's the holistic side of health is by all means our number one priority as a living, breathing entity. Because our thoughts manifest as disease. Our belief systems manifest as huge blocking issues in life that don't let us get forward. Like, people can eat as healthy as they want to. Like, they can be vegans that are all organic, and they eat with they cook their vegetables according to the seasons, whether it's warm or cold food or whatever. But if like the rest of life is a total disaster, so at IIN, if you end up going there at some point, Jennifer, you learn about primary foods and secondary foods. And secondary foods are the nutrition that you put into your body. Primary foods are everything else that makes up life, like career, spirituality, relationships, and exercise. Those are like the 4 core pillars. And there's all these other things too, right? But if your primary foods are just all out of whack, all out of balance, and you're just in a place of lack and you're unhappy, it doesn't matter what you're eating, because that's going to disrupt the physiological processes of your body. That stress is going to impact your gut health. It's going to impact your hormones. You're going to be put into a place of having leaky guts and all these food sensitivities, because your body is so dysregulated by the emotional, spiritual side of things. And that like the food you eat is always really important, but it's secondary to everything else. Everything else is what facilitates having the human experience at all. Like, we're here, we're not designed to break. We're not designed to get sick. We're not designed to live in depression and have these horrible experiences that we see in people, in ourselves, in our friends, in the communities, in the world, the sickness, the disease, the anger, like all of that. Like, we're not designed for that. But the reason that stuff happens is because we're so out of alignment with our own divine nature of what we are. And when it comes to holistic practices, like, it starts out high level as, okay, I need to find better balance in my life so that I feel better. I'm eating better, I'm exercising more, I like my job better, I enjoy the people in my life, right? In spirituality, that's often a light touch for a lot of people, but the deeper you go with holistically balanced lives, the deeper you're going to go with your spirituality and your connection to God or source or consciousness or Gaia or whatever the terminology is that you connect with. Because the more you unpack the belief systems of what you aren't, as you realize the things of the negative, the things that are detrimental in your life, the things that aren't serving you, belief systems that you've had about yourself, like all these things, the more you unpack, the more you then see what you are. And the more you're seeing what you are, it's not who you are. Who you are is part of it, but who you are is not front and center. It's what you are. And the more you unpack the stuff and see what you are, as you back up and back up and back up, you start to realize that you're a spiritual being having a human experience. You're not a human being having a spiritual experience. It's very flipped. And so it's a big journey. So Dawn can speak to that. Go ahead, Dawn.
Oh, I'm hearing my spiritual teacher, Matt Kahn. He's amazing. And there's a saying he has, and I used to have it on my fridge. People can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. And I feel like that encompasses everything you're saying. Until we go deeply into ourselves to understand what we are as energetic beings, not as a human, but as energetic beings driving around in these vehicle bodies, until we go beyond the physical and understand the energetic aspect of our souls, then we're not able to meet the world, meet circumstances, meet people as that being. We meet them as a shadow of it, as a fraction of it. And so that's what we get back, is a fraction of really what we're capable of and what is being brought to us from the universe. So that's my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Worth $1, at least $1.
Yay! I made $1. It's been a while.
No, hey, I was just doing proportionate. No, that's good talk.
These are the normal talks that we have. Like, this is like our lives, or when we connect, like, this is, I don't know, we start here and we're like, okay, boom. Like, let's just,
well, it's interesting because, you know, I've always been the weird one. Like, I feel like I've always been weird. Okay. So I've always quieted that weirdness. And weird is not, I've always been, actually, my weird makes me happy. I love my weird. And like, my husband knows my weird, like my family knows my weird. Everybody who loves me and knows me the most knows my weird. But I don't put that out there, and I hide that. And I'm not happy with that circle. And that's exactly what you're saying, because they're getting that shadow, like you just said, the little piece.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's not always socially acceptable, right? Like, or you think it's not. And you have these preconceived ideas of how you should be professional, or screw that.
That's why we need people like us and the Conscious Leadership Network, because we're basically, you know, giving the bird to the old systems, because we're like, nope, it's time for that to go away. And we are the way showers and the light workers, you know, and the systems busters and disruptors who are here to bring in the new that needs to be brought in. And we got to shake shit up, and we got to let our freak flags fly.
Yeah.
So that's what we're like, what I want to work with is that group of people who are kind of like, well, maybe I kind of have a little weird. And I'm like, oh no, honey, you let it shine. Let it shine. Because that's been my journey. And so it's like, no, just balls to the wall, do it. Your weird is your gift. And that's the thing that we need to embrace. Mm-hmm. And it's safe for us to do now, because a lot of us, and I'm going to get woo-woo for a sec, a lot of us have past lives, multiple ones, where we endured persecution for our weird. And so we bring that trauma, because trauma is handed down through generations, through familial lines, but also, you know, ourselves. And so we're carrying generational trauma from our ancestors and our families, but also our own. And it takes a buttload of work and a strong soul to come into this lifetime and be like, no, that stops right there at the door. And here I am to shine. And it takes a lot of work, but we did it for a reason, because we're the ones who are going to guide everybody else and say, you know what, honey, I've been there, like Pallas, and like you, Jennifer, with your weird, you know, and like me with my journey. We're like, no, you know what, honey, I've been there. And I came out on the other side, and I can't walk the journey for you, but I can walk it with you. And so that's what people are looking for. They need us to do that and just whip it out, because it's safe now. And we're coming together in these communities to do that. That's what attracted me to the CLN. I was like, yes.
Yeah, same, very much same.
That is such a good way to say that, to phrase all that. Yeah, because when I was talking about like the spiritual aspects of my journey, it went there many times over, and it still does. The deep spiritual root causes of why I ultimately became so sick in life. It's never what it seems to be on the surface, where it seems like it's about this disease. It's actually about something in a very deeply spiritually rooted place. But then as far as like other people's belief systems about us, like backtracking and what people think, and this came from IIN also, but it's I want to fit out rather than fit in. Fuck fitting in. That's boring. I don't get to be me. And like Dawn says, I want to let my freak flag fly.
I love that. I love that.
The business folks that I worked with for conscious leaders, and that's what his thing was, let your freak flag fly.
Yeah. But also when we're being authentic in ourselves, what we truly think and feel, when we are filling our own bucket with the things that bring us joy and happiness and light into our lives, that the people and things in our life that aren't meant to be there, that aren't going to resonate with us, will naturally fall away. And that might suck for a little bit because it's a shift of relationships and dynamics. Like if they're not willing to, or in a place to recognize the true you, right? But in the same moment, then doors open up for the right people to come in, the right situations, the right, like the people that are going to fill us up and that we're going to fill them up, where it's like I'm learning and growing. They're like, oh, I want to do that. And then they're here. We're like, oh, that's cool. I want to learn and grow with you. Like we're all moving forward and transforming and becoming and learning. And we surround ourselves with the people, like when we're not consciously aware really of ourselves and where we want to show up in life, we're going to surround ourselves with people that are safe for us, or people that are less maybe than us, right? But then when we really show up in life who we are, we become powerful. And being able to be okay with letting these, it's like with food, let me say it. With food, when working on this on the nutrition side with people, we're taught to crowd in the healthy things to crowd out the unhealthy things. And until we have to be our own science experiment. And so somebody that has an issue with dairy, they're not going to know that dairy is a detrimental aspect of them until they decide to take it out of their diet and see how they feel when that thing's not there any longer. Right? And so we can tell them, like I can go, oh, that friend of yours, they're an energy vampire. Oh, that social situation, it's holding you back. Oh, whatever. It's like, or don't eat eggs, don't eat milk. Fuck that. You know, I want to do the thing. But it's like, until we can be able to delineate what is serving us and what's not, we're not going to be able to delineate that, right? Food or people. But when we can delineate that with people, and it's not a selfish thing to then go, you're not serving me. It's that we're not in alignment in life, right? But when you are able to clear that away, it creates so much more space to bring in the stuff that does serve you.
Yeah, I fail at that because I feel like I can't leave people, but I've been practicing. Yeah, it's hard for me I know these people are bad energy. My husband says it all the time. Why do you attract these people? And it's weird. It is weird. I kind of attract these people. He's like, I don't know if you look for these kind of people, but it's interesting because I kind of have a common, not all of them. I have lots of good people, but there's there is like a category of a few individuals that steal my energy and just like literally when I start talking to them, I shake. Like that's a cue, right? That's it. And then, yeah, like it's bad at points, but they're still like in my life.
It's your body's wisdom. Your body is giving you the signals to let you know, not good for you. And so what you can do, because I've had this happen, is what you can do is just, and I've been guided to do this, is ask the universe, hey, can you do for me what I cannot do for myself? And I have asked the universe to remove people from my life that were toxic, that I couldn't do it myself. And they did. All of a sudden, the people just stopped contacting me. They stopped calling. And it was a beautiful thing.
And that's kind of what I've been doing. Like I don't reach out. Well, not the universe thing, but I stopped contacting, and I'm just kind of like letting, like I'm not putting forth effort. And you know, it's interesting. And I don't think she will ever go away, but the universe did help me because she actually is gone out of Colorado. She's gone. She moved away. So she's not, and to not to be too detailed, but we were in business relations together indirectly. And that is all divorced. Everything that we're connected with is all divorced, with humans, business, everything. And now has gone out of my state. Still connected with some really close friends. I don't think that she'll ever go away. And maybe that's how it should be, right? Maybe.
Could be teaching you to keep boundaries, you know.
Yes.
As a lesson for us.
Okay, yeah.
The lesson might be around boundaries, where her influence still circling on the outside.
Yeah.
It keeps you, like, you know, Star Trek, shields up. Not that we need to shield ourselves from people, but it reminds you, it's a reminder, oh, I need boundaries because there are people like her. And so it's sort of like just a little reminder for you to stay vigilant.
Like you don't have to like, yeah. Lots of details.
It's just being aware of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and how we operate in the world, and that there are people who sometimes don't have our best interests in mind. So we just need to be aware, be vigilant, be cautious, while also being loving and giving. We have to walk that line, that balance.
Yeah. Part of it too, I think when someone, like I'm kind of a people pleaser in that sense.
Yep. Empaths and healers usually are. But we have to learn that it's not our job to please everybody.
Right.
We came here to do a job, and
like thank God I'm married to a not people pleaser.
Well, and that's probably by design, so that you have a role model to follow.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, everybody's in our lives for a reason. So that's, yeah, definitely. Yep. Sorry, I'm trying not to be all like Miss Therapy here, but this is like, I love people and their puzzles, and I love like hearing stuff and being like, oh, here's a drop of wisdom that I picked up along my journey. There you go, that worked for me, you know, because that's why we have the experiences we do. We serve people through what we have had to learn for ourselves first. And that's why these experiences happen to us. We designed it on a soul level to evolve to where we are, because without those catalysts, we wouldn't be where we are. Something else my spiritual teacher says is the past exists to show us what we can survive. And so it's like everything looking back is exactly why we're here in this moment. And it's all gotten us here with everything. And that every one of us is uniquely designed to serve in our own unique way with our own unique mission, which is why it's so important that we let our weird, you know, out, because the world needs it. So, and I always just come back to that, but like, that's my shtick. That's why I'm Phoenix. That's why that's my last name, because we all have to rise from those ashes, claim our power, and go light the world up, because it's time.
That's why I got this tattoo.
I love that we talked about it, and your son and everything. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
Exactly. It's time. Yeah.
I got that when I was coming out of all my trauma with Lyme, when I was starting to get better. And I went to Boulder and went to this girl's house. We spent 2 days doing it. She's a very spiritual leader. deep soul person. And I got this so that every time I started falling backwards into my trauma, I could look at my arm and remember I'd been through the worst of it and I was only getting better. And the phoenix is my totem because that is how I look at my life. I look at, I was this person here and then I died. I had a spiritual death and turned into ashes and was reborn again into who I am now. I mean, that's like the story that I really feel going through my journey that I did. And so, yeah. And so I got a phoenix feather so that I never forget my journey, because dealing with significant trauma, it's a brain blender. And if you know, it's something, a lifelong process to really get all the levels and layers, which throughout past life, like trying not to go like super woo woo, like past life work and things that have gone on to lead
I
to
love woo woo.
Okay, well, Dawn and I can go way woo woo with you. Like I'm trying to like not. So it's like, all right. So in that mode, it's like what Dawn's saying with past life work. Like one of my modalities is soul detective work, and with soul detective work, it's literally spiritual root causes of disease within the body and the brain. And I'm currently studying with Dr. Robert Alcorn, who was a clinical psychiatrist who graduated from Yale and eventually moved into shamanism, energy medicine, and this kind of work. And his wife, Dr. Barbara Stone, is a clinical psychologist, energy medicine practitioner, professor, and has invented this whole soul detective work. It's like I've been through the 3 levels, and it's material this deep, and it's past life traumas, parallel life traumas, clone traumas. There's belief systems that we hold in our bodies that we have reversals where you think that you want to live, but there's this belief system in the viral code that you want to die, and reversing this belief system in the body. It's working with the chakras. It's working with entities, real entities. It's working with curses, hexes, like all these things that seem like in the Muggle world, things of Halloween and witchery. It's how these things literally impact us now. And that deep level, soul level work is core to what I do. It's heavily integrated with Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, the energy systems of the body, things like that. But yeah, when we're talking about the things that are challenging and holding you back now, and just these kind of conversations, Dawn is very eloquent of talking about things here and how it's showing up in our lives here. And me, I'm like, I'm going like, okay, we need to do a session around that thing that goes all the way here that might have started 3,000 years ago. Like, I don't know. Like it's really profound work on how we show up in life now. Because if we think about showing up in life now as who we are and what we are here by design, and we are perfect because at some point in time, maybe there was like the Big Bang Theory, who knows, like, and life happened, like life happened at some point in time, that this magical thing. And over the millennia, people, families have been born, and our soul has gone on these journeys, and these things have happened over millennia to have us be born in this lifetime now. And if all these things over millennia hadn't happened, we wouldn't be here. Whether we show up in a body that's not perfect, and we only make it through the first few years of life, or whether we show up as we are now, how we show up and what we are as people is exactly who and what we should be. But after we show up in this life here now, us talking, it's our soul journey. And as light workers, really what we're doing is working with people to recognize, to become consciously aware of what they are, so that they can show up in their potential of their soul journey, of their mission, of their place in this world now. Because the problem, the challenge is that we're born and we're here and we're in this life, but people are asleep and we're disconnected from our spiritual side. We're disconnected from on our side, our spiritual essence. We're disconnected from our soul journey. We show up without any acknowledgement that we have a purpose. And so this energy medicine, the work that I do, the work that Dawn does, we come at it from different angles, but it's all going towards that same end goal of facilitating and awakening into our, what we are.
Makes you
And
look
it's
at the movie The
unpacking.
Matrix
Yeah,
in a whole new light.
it does, right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. I was done. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, after I had my spiritual awakening in 2014, I looked at the movie The Matrix completely differently, like absolutely differently. I was like, holy crap, they are brilliant to have put this out there. Just phenomenally. And I'm going to go back to what you were saying about, you know, having that dark night of the soul and dying and rising from the ashes. That's what the Phoenix Collective gave to me. Jennifer, I'm a channel also. So I channel higher dimensional beings, and a collective that I work closely with is the Phoenix Collective. And I took my name before they actually contacted me. They contacted me in August of last year. So, and I've had my name for a couple years now. And my last name, I was born
Did you
with
change?
my name.
Did you change your name?
I did after I had, after I came out of a marriage where I was
Okay.
needing to change my name and not keep his.
And you just randomly picked Phoenix?
No, it picked
No,
me. I was at a retreat in Sedona where I was living, and just it came to me. And
Okay,
I put it on my name tag and wore it all weekend.
Oh,
and
wow.
Everybody there was like calling me Dawn Phoenix. And I was like, it fits. And so when the divorce was finalized, I was like, that's what I want my name to be on the divorce decree. And it was part of the divorce package, so I didn't have to pay for it. And so I've been wearing that for a while. And then it was in August that because of what I've been through in my life, and the Phoenix Collective came through. And the process that they gave me, I did it with 5 of my friends and tried to get testimonials and stuff like that from them. And so now I have like a system that the collective gave me. Is they take us through 2 levels of purification, because that's what fire is. And then after we have that purification, they introduce us into the space, which is their ashes, into the space of infinite potential. Because they say, remember, in that pile of ashes, there's nothing there but ash. But what rises from it is a phoenix again, but nothing is added to it. So that is the space of infinite potential. So they take us there for 2 sessions. And then we actually bring it into our own selves. And it fires you up literally. I've never been so jazzed and like, zoomies, I'm going to get shit done. Until I went into that space with them. And then the last one is where you create the new thing in your life, and you practice creating new things. What they did with us is they had us create a flower. When we were in that space of infinite potential, it looks like an orange and red nebula. It's beautiful. And they put you in there and you create a flower, and almost everybody who was there with me doing this, they created a flower that they've never seen before.
Wow.
And so that was the collective saying, just because you don't have the knowledge of something existing does not mean you cannot create it. Just with your intention, that energy comes through.
Yes.
And so that's what they want us to bring into our lives.
Okay.
So it's so powerful.
That's so amazing. Wow.
Yeah, and they're using themselves as the example.
That just gave my body like all this like feel good.
Yeah, they're amazing. Well, if you want, what I can do is I can send you a video. I have it on YouTube. It's on my channel, and it's me channeling the Phoenix Collective, and they talk about themselves as the examples to humanity. And that's why they're working with us now. So it's just them introducing themselves to us as entities before they became legends.
Okay, that's a little over my head. I didn't get all that. I'm sorry. Well, I'm getting a little distracted too. So can I just put you guys on pause for a second?
Yeah.
But no, I got like up until you were like the very
boundaries. That's good.
Hold on for me 1 second. Okay.
See, and that's good for me because then I know where I have to stop with people. It's like, yes, okay, puppy dog, you're very excited, but now you need to sit.
I know I have to work on that too, because
Yeah.
I've struggled to like stay here, and then I go here and I'm here and then they're like, what?
Lost me. I'm like, damn.
Sorry.
It's a good slippery slope, but it was like crap.
No, you're doing great. It's good. So Jennifer
Sorry.
also, oh, keep going. I was gonna talk. You guys are both into kids. That's just what I was gonna say. And Dawn, you know how Nisha and I are talking about trying to create, like you brought up making this like the CLN Junior, you know, the CLN for kids. Jennifer's bringing something to the plate too, and so Nisha's actively working on like that side of things.
I have to kind of walk.
What? Oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can see you, but we cannot hear you. Well, she's on the move, so it probably messed with her audio. Yeah, but that's good because she can come at it from the 3D physical aspect of it, and I can come at it from the other angle, and we can get the kids, you know, who need either or both. So that'll
Yeah,
be
you should
exciting.
bring that up to her. Like, yes. We can't hear you. Oh, I think she's talking to other people.
Oh, because she said she was putting us on mute.
Yep.
Maybe that's what she meant.
I think so.
But now it looks like maybe she wants to try to hear us. I can't tell. I don't know. Yeah, she's plugging us in.
Huh?
Now
Now
we
we
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
I'll just leave you out like that. So
Okay.
sorry. I'm just going to. Okay, I'm gonna listen. So I just have to make my husband a quick egg before he leaves. He's like, help me out.
Okay.
Aw.
So, say what you're doing with kids. Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, so I think that you and I can be like a powerful force to help kids in their process as young leaders in our world, because you have these things that you want to help them with their physicality and their bodies and learning about these things that keep them healthy and movement and eating. And I want to help them understand their power as the creators of their reality from the spiritual aspect of it.
Oh,
Because I have a course where I teach kids to become animal communicators. I taught it a couple months ago,
so
and
cute.
yes, because they need it. They're the ones who are like still remembering their gifts and haven't had them washed out yet. So anyway, I think that if we can get, you know, work with Nisha to get like a CLN Junior or, you know, young conscious leaders section, you know, going, you and I can really help these kids be really well-rounded with whatever they need, whether it's the more stuff of like what you offer or what I offer, or they have both available to them if that's what they want. And that's, I think that could be like a beautiful synergy.
That's cute. I like it.
So tell Dawn some of the things that you're thinking that you'd like to bring.
So what I'm more comfortable with is like maybe even diving into more of the music, but I don't sing, okay? But I could do it in different ways. And then arts. So I was thinking this is something totally new for me, but I like the idea with when I was talking to Nisha and Pallas yesterday, to incorporate my arts and crafts and just do like video classes, but more interactive and more fun, right? And I can incorporate music with that too. Make it a musical art class. I don't know. I could get all wacky and crazy and weird, right? And make it more on the spiritual side, because that would be incorporating that in with their art. I know we could have different things, but so, and we have with Beachbody, we have all of these food, protein shakes for kids. And then we also have, well, I always thought it would be really fun if Beachbody had like a whole kid. I think they should have kid workouts, but they don't. And that might be a liability thing. But maybe I can incorporate like my own workout program for kids. I mean, there's lots of stuff online, but I look and I'm not in love with anything. So, I mean, that could be something be a goal of mine to add in the physical aspect of it. but I also thought of something after talking yesterday was a cooking show with like my daughter. Like just make little, I mean, because these are all things that people love seeing kids, especially little ones. And that's a big thing that I've been finding as I watch, do you guys know who Bobby is from Flab City?
Mm.
He's really fun to watch, and his daughter is not even one. And she's the star of the show. Seriously. And my daughter is super cute. Like, I'm not just saying that, but she is super cute and she's so good. Like, I'm like, you need to be my Beachbody spokesperson because she teases me all the time. She's like, yeah, Mom, no one's gonna like you. And I'm like, well, then you do it. Because I'm just a dork and I laugh about everything. But I'm kind of like going on a tangent here because I don't have anything that I can speak of that I've done. This is all new for me. So this is like, I am going to be growing into these practices and ideas. But yeah, I feel that it's definitely something I've been doing like all along, for sure.
So did you say maybe doing a cooking class for kids?
Well, I just thought that would be fun.
Yeah, well,
not like a cooking class, but just like little cooking shows. Like just, well, I'll start small with like, okay, here's we'll just do a recipe together.
Yeah.
And then I can develop it into maybe, okay, this week we'll do family what do you call it, traditional meals or something like that. And because where's tradition these days? Is that falling off?
yeah, I think that would be, see, my kids, we've been doing online cooking classes with a chef through Sticky Fingers all year. And so Sticky Fingers, you can look them up online to see what they're doing. They're located here in Colorado too. Prior to the pandemic, they were having classes, after school classes for the kids to learn how to cook whatever. And they pivoted to doing stuff online. And so
yeah,
every week there's a different meal or a different thing that they're making. There's a theme. Like last month was one pot meals. And so every once a week there's 1 hour set aside, like the kids get the recipe that they need ahead of time. There's a little backstory on the food and the culture and the whatever. And then they show up on Zoom and it's led by the chef and they can talk back and forth. And they're showed like, this is how you chop. This is how you hold the knife, you know this or that, like teach the different elements of the thing as they go along. And like, for the one pot meals, there was like 10 kids in the class online.
Oh, wow.
So you could like do this and you could work with Nisha to have this could be a thing on a kids junior, like to get out there for you, like this or art, like you could have your whole little program for kids that is that can be do with the CLN junior side of things.
Yeah, I think it could totally be yeah, I get, again, like I don't have like the skills are kind of really properly cut, but I don't think it has to be that detailed. Like this would just be more, I would have to put my unique twist to it. Yeah. Like I would have to put, okay, why, let's do it. Like I'll come up with the idea, but I think it would be fun.
Yeah, it would be just whatever works for you.
It would be healthy, easy. It'd be based on healthy eating, really quick. My daughter, literally, I went to work one day and just show easy ways to have food ready, prepped in your fridge so your kids can prep your own meals. And I did that one week and I was blown away. I was like, my daughter sent me a picture. Hi, Mom, I made my own dinner and it was all healthy food because I food prepped for myself and she made herself dinner from it. So I could do takeaways with that,
That'd be huge for families.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So maybe the mom can do the prepping and I can show them how to prep it and then have little ideas on how to put it all together. Ooh, I just made that up right now. You see,
Yeah, I'll join in on that. I mean, I know how to do this stuff, but this is one of those areas that I need to grow in, and I would love to have a teacher teaching me to do the shit that I already know how to do that I'm not doing, because then I can see how you do it and I can actually implement it.
And I would probably be, like you guys said earlier, learning as I go, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, we don't have to show up to the table with everything. We show up with what we have.
And our students teach us too. You know, they might have ideas, or even just through questions they ask, we learn through answering their questions.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, ladies, I'm going to have to go.
I was gonna say, we've been going at it.
Like,
a totally different direction. It's great.
Like, just tell him you have to go. You have to do stuff today. I'm like, I know.
This is exactly what I want these Friday meetings to be about, to talk and connect and get to know each other and
spark ideas.
People become alive to each other.
That's what I'm trying to gain from this too, is to help myself grow. Because I just because I'm getting older, like I feel like this is my time to start getting back into it again. Because I put my life on hold for the last 15 years to raise my kids. My husband and I, just make a little story short, is that we had sacrificed a lot so I could be a stay-at-home mom. And he started his own business about 15 years ago, but it just didn't go. It wasn't not successful, but it just wasn't doing it for us. So we sold that, or he got out of it like this over COVID. So we're both kind of starting in new places. We need to redefine, like, what are we going to do? We have a new beginning, and we just need to he's kind of on a new mission in between nothing permanent. And I'm like, let me embrace what I have, because I have the drive. I love to work hard, but I also like to go all in, and like that's where I've been flustered like this whole time. Like I like kids. I love my marketing. I love administrative work. I love working in an office in a corporate. I love it all. But I don't like this part of that. I don't like this part of that, and I don't like this part of that. And I love working at home and I'm like, oh, Beachbody's at home. So like this is kind of like building that foundation. Like, let's create this job for myself. Like, let's do it. Like, you guys are helping me, like, kind of design my future here. So thank you.
This is a good way to put it.
Yes.
All right.
So much.
But thank you.
I'm excited for you.
Me too. Okay, so next Friday, same time, same bat channel.
I had set this up for once a month, but because I'd had it going, I mean, it's up to you. I'm happy to do it every Friday. I'd had it set up for once a month, but people hadn't been showing up. So I thought, what do you think? I'm flexible.
Or maybe like twice a month or something.
Yeah, let's try that. Can we do that and see? Maybe once a week is too much, because I'm used to weekly calls with some stuff that we do in CLM Pallas. So I'm like, is this every week? Okay, yeah. So maybe the 19th. Does that work?
Yeah, so week after next. Yeah, cool. I will get some other ones set up for that.
Okay, cool. All right. Yay, awesome. All right, ladies, I love giving hugs. I can't in real life. So I like how Corinda does it, a heart.
I know.
I love it.
Pew, 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 pew. I love it.
All right, bye, ladies. Thank you for being awesome.
Bye. Thanks for sharing all your stories.
Absolutely. We'll connect soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.